Virtual Academy, welcome back. Let's solve a geometry problem. An isosceles right triangle is also known as which of these? And you have four options. Guys, remember when you have an isosceles triangle, what is the main rule? An isosceles triangle has two congruent angles. If this triangle, let's say ABC, is isosceles, these two angles here should be congruent, right? So angle B should be congruent to angle C. Now, if you have a right triangle, which is also isosceles, obviously you cannot have two 90-degree angles, which means the angle that will be of 90 degree will be this one, A in this case. What are you left with the other two? What is left for you? Well, all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. If one of them is 90 degrees, right? You take that 90 degrees off your 180 and you have 90 degrees left, because these two angles here, B and C, are congruent, means the measure of each one of them is going to be 90 degrees over 2, right? Which gives you 45 degrees. And this answers your question. If you have an isosceles right triangle, the only possibility will be 45, 90, 45, or 45, 45, 90, or whichever way you want to go. And that's why the answer for this problem is going to be this one. Okay? Let's try another one. One second here. Alright, in this statement, true or false? In a 45, 45, 90 degrees triangle, the hypotenuse is 2 times as long as the leg, right? Well, remember from the previous one that if this is a 45, 45 triangle, we're dealing with an isosceles triangle, okay? And that one is 90 degrees. Let's say this is triangle, well, you know, let's be consistent here and name it the same way like the other one. A, B, C, I believe it was. It really doesn't matter. 45, 45 means angle B is congruent to angle C, right? I also know in an isosceles triangle, the sides that are opposing your congruent angles are also congruent, right? So if AB has a measure of A, AC will also have a measure of A. But in a right triangle, hypotenuse squared equals the sum of the squares of the legs, right? Which means my hypotenuse in here, BC squared, should be equal to A squared plus A squared, which gives you 2A squared, right? Which means if you have to find the hypotenuse, you're going to take the square root of everything in here, and you find your hypotenuse, in this case BC, should equal square root of 2A squared, which is actually A square root 2. Okay, what is the question? The hypotenuse, or you know, the statement, the hypotenuse is 2 times as long as the leg. False, right? Because the hypotenuse is square root 2 times the leg, right? So this is false, and that's how you solve this problem.